Huangtandong is my new favourite place in Wenzhou. It's an ancient and very scenic village about 40 kilometres northeast of Wenzhou. We're going to start the ride in Yueqing, then have coffee and lunch there, before heading north to take a longer, less scenic but exhilarating descent back. It's been raining all week, so the waterfalls should be overflowing. The forecast says no rain, but this is Zhejiang. Like all good cycling days, it starts with a lift to the train station. At 7 a.m. on a Saturday morning, it's quiet. No problems getting the bike on the train. I bought a cheap 70 kwai bike bag, but I've seen people just take the front wheel off and put it in a garbage bag. It's a good idea to have empty water bottles. Sometimes I've been stopped and I've had them looked at. I've also brought along a DJI gimbal. Never tried one before. It's lightweight and fits into my bag easier than the Mini Pro 3 drone. My nearest station's at the start of Line 1 and I'll get off near the end of Line 2 at Suyang Road. It's over 90 minutes with the transfer at the airport. The scenery is unexciting. New suburbs, ready to be demolished old suburbs, freeways and farms. Not really worth taking the gimbal out for, but I'll do it anyway. The riding starts in Yueqing, a quiet satellite town northeast of Wenzhou. It's mostly new, with canals and parks making it a pleasant place to be. But there's always better places to be, like the start of a mountain climb. This climb's about 10 kilometres and averaging a 5% gradient. It's on one of Wenzhou's 5 green lines, which are scenic and protected environmental parks in and around Wenzhou. It's not a steep climb, and the scenery is great, especially after rain. The roads are decent and not very busy, even on a Sunday. Halfway up the climb is the Shuifeigu scenic area. It's just amazing that this place is not only empty, but free. There's a small shop selling food and local honey. I played around with the gimbal for a bit, but it needs more skill than I've got. There's a temple cut into the cliff face, and for a small fee, you can light a candle and pray around the place, or you can just walk around it for free. Hikers have a lot of options and could get to the top of the waterfalls. But we're cyclists in our cycling shoes, so we're on our way again. It takes a bit over an hour of climbing, but this includes plenty of stops along the way. A few years ago, I switched from a mountain bike to a gravel bike. There's very few tracks around Wenzhou that warrant a mountain bike suspension and weight, but there's also plenty of roads too rough for a road bike. My giant Revolt is pretty light for the climbs, but still tough and comfortable enough for when the roads get rough. Tubeless tyres have also been great. I've had no problem with punctures, but I still carry a spare tyre and a new electric pump just in case. As we're making our way up, the clouds roll in. Rain should always be anticipated here. It's the risk of having waterfalls, losing the amazing panoramas due to cloud cover. I'd also sacrifice cold weather outfits to fit my drone in the backpack. Not even halfway, and doubt had entered my mind. Just one dark old tunnel to do, and then our final descent to the village, food and shelter. In 2024, there's just the one stylish cafe at the front and a few home-style chicken hot pots down in the south. Now, I'm not a fan of countryside chicken. Hacked up little bird complete with bones, head and feet. The cafe, I think called Moj, at the front of the village looks safe and stylish, so that's where we had our meal. The first bridge is short but very narrow. Once safely across, it's entertaining watching people realise just how narrow it is. Don't worry, there's a safer bridge a short walk further down. Huangtandong's a pretty place, and an easy day could be spent walking around if you're not wearing cycling shoes. The wet, stony mountain paths became a serious challenge, and we looked like a couple of drunk Laowai at times. It was founded over 800 years ago in the Song dynasty. Like most of China, it's been recently rebuilt, but being so isolated, it still follows an ancient layout, has a strong cultural heritage with some of the trees over 500 years old, and there's still plenty of architectural elements that are around 100 to 200 years old. The houses are mostly courtyards in the style of the later Qing dynasty. And what's really nice about Huangtandong is that it hasn't really been overrun with tourism, well, at least in 2024. Places like Lijiang and Dali are far more scenic, but they're just villages for tourists now. Every house is a shop, themed restaurant or cafe. In Huangtandong, there's only a few souvenir vendors at the front, and houses are still homes for the villagers. Indigo was produced in the village up until the 20th century, and there still remains of the industry around the streets and near canals. The day was moving on, so it was time to go. One short climb before our descent. It's not as bad as it looks. It's a consistent gradient, good road, and just fantastic views. The rain and the clouds were long gone and we were able to see the view. I was able to get the drone out, but there's a terror watching such an expensive little toy disappear into a mountain valley. Maybe when I'm ready to upgrade, I'll become more adventurous. But now, I just have to bring it back. The descent's fun. It's not as scenic, so I can focus on the road instead of sightseeing. There's not so many switchbacks, so I can maintain a bit of speed. This is the sort of ride my gravel bike's really good with. I can get a bit of speed, but the tyres are wide enough to give me a bit of control. My low-pressure tubeless tyres smooth out the bumps a bit better and makes me less fearful of the anticipated cracks in the road. There were some sights on the return ride, but I'm sick of editing this video. It's way more work than I really want to do. I think just travelling with the drone is the best thing to do. I just need the courage to fly it off a mountain. The GoPro and gimbal are fun, but it adds way more footage than I'm prepared to edit. The gimbal turns my bike into a travel guide, which I'm not really interested in. Similar with the GoPro. It's fun, but my rides are laid back, not action-packed. And the scripts. The only thing worse than writing scripts is reading them out. Kudos to all those YouTube content creators out there. At the end of the day, I'm just a cyclist making a video of a bike ride. I didn't get to talk about the cafe's pizza. That was pretty good. Oh, the GoPro's run out of battery.